So somebody asked me how I create that punch out text effect, and I do it different than a lot of people, mainly because I don't like using destructive editing methods. I like to keep my text alive whenever possible and keep all effects for that matter completely editable because I'm not really a big fan of doing things over if I don't have to. So here's how I go about doing it. The first thing I'm going to do is go under the shape tool and I'll select the rectangle tool. I have my first thing you want to do is make sure it's on shape. I set my fill to white. You can pick whatever color you want, and I set stroke to none because I don't need any. And the reason I'm using the shape tool is because shapes are vectors within Photoshop, which means that if you ever want to resize this later, you can do so without worrying about pixelization. So I'm just going to draw out a box, and there we go. Next thing I want to do, I'm going to hit T for the type tool, and I'm going to click up in the image, not on the box because I don't want to turn it into a text box. I'm going to click somewhere else, and I'm going to type out the word snow. And another cool little trick is when you're up close on the text, you can see you have the cursor, so if you get in there and type. But if you drag it outside just enough that you get the arrow key, you can move the text around without having to commit. And then when you let go, it goes right back to the type tool, which is also really good because the kerning between letters, which is like one of my biggest pet peeves ever, the kerning between the O and the W is really off. So as long as your cursor is between the two letters, if you hold down the Alt key and the left arrow, you can click as many times as you want to bring in the spacing. You could click the right arrow to take it out, the left arrow to bring it in. And a lot of time people forget to kern their text because they just go with what's automatically there. And sometimes it doesn't always look good. There are certain letter pairs that need a little help. So that's what I did there. Now I'm going to hit Control Enter to accept. I'm going to put my text on top of the box. And the next thing I'm going to do is select both the text and the rectangle. I'm going to select both layers in the Layers panel. And then I'm going to hit Control G to put them in a group. And that's key. They need to be in a group. And within that group, I'm going to go back to this text layer and double click on it to bring up the Layer Styles box. I'm going to change the fill opacity to 0. And under Knockout, I'm going to set it from none to shallow. And now you see I have my text effect. I can hit OK. Now I can take that group. I can move it wherever I want within the image. The other cool thing is I can go back to the text layer, double click on it. I can change the word if I want. I can also open up the character panel and I can change the font if I want. And pick something. Here, let me go to my favorites. I love that new feature in Photoshop. Set up your favorites, shortens your list up, pick that font, change the size if you want. You can do all sorts of stuff, but the really cool thing is the effect is still there and it's all still editable. So hope that helps somebody.